Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the House of Ways and Means. I'm Ways, this is Means, and this is another Friday Turndown video.
So we're here at home, as usual on Friday, early Friday. What time is it? Like 7:30. Yeah, we in our pajamas already. But we were just talking a little bit today about college. But what we really got kind of caught on and had an intense debate and conversation on was whether or not our college degrees were worth it. So, where do you sit on that?
I think it depends on your major. I think it depends on the job that you're looking for. There are some positions where it's better if you just have more experience, hands-on, or if you just go to a trade school. Then there are other jobs where you need to have a BA or you need to have a master's level plus, supervision experience. Like I know, like my field, there's no licensed therapist in America that's licensed without having a master's level education. And then if you are looking for a psychologist, some people prefer to have someone who is on a doctoral level. So it's really difficult to find positions in my field with a BA. You're gonna be making what, 20 to 25,000 depending on the state you live in. Well, Maryland is pretty good. You can probably earn maybe about 40 to, maybe just about 40 with a BA. But, living in Maryland is really expensive. Cost of living there is expensive. So you're gonna wanna get a master's and then get licensed as well. Because having the master's even by itself, it just isn't enough.
So what degrees do you have so far?
I have my Bachelor's of Arts, I have my Master's of Arts, and I'm hoping to get my PhD. So
do you feel like, obviously from what you say, your bachelor's is absolutely necessary. How far do you think you could have gotten with just the master's?
With just the master's, I have some colleagues right now who cannot work a good paying job because they aren't able to get their license. So you could have your master's, but you have to pass an examination, and then you have to have supervisory experience or supervision experience. And then with that, then you can get your license in that particular state. And each state has their different rules and criteria, things of that nature. But even having a master's is not enough, at least not to be a therapist.
Well, it sounds like you have very specific requirements in your field that you kind of can't get around.
Right.
I'm on the 50-50 camp, as far as that goes. And I think it really depends on whether or not you kind of have an idea of what you want to go into. For me, I started out in the IT field. I have a bachelor's of science in computer science. Now, that field is developing very quickly. Even back when I was coming out of school, you didn't necessarily have to have a degree. It's never going to be viewed as a negative, I think, to have a degree, but a lot of people are able to get certifications or just, as a hobby, have become very proficient, experts in the IT field. When I got into the workforce in corporate America, there was kind of a mixture. So I wouldn't say it was a rivalry between the people who had degrees and who didn't, but you could notice some pretty clear and obvious differences. I think what college does do for you, it makes you a more well-rounded human being just because of all the social benefits that it has to be in that environment. It's almost like, it's like JUCO for adulthood a little bit. So, you get that independence, you get to be around people who are your age who are kind of developing all those skills at the same time. So I think it learns a lot. So you learn a lot. So there's a lot of soft skills that college teaches that are not necessarily, as far as the books go. So, in that environment though, you could tell you generally know the same amount of stuff, and sometimes even the people without degrees have learned more because they took very focused certification programs to get where they wanted to go. Now, I have seen a lot of technical companies, some of the bigger ones, the Googles, the Apples, the Microsofts out there. I mean, they're starting to really pay more attention and offer some top positions to people who don't have degrees. But at this point, we're at an arms race. We just want the smartest, fastest. I mean, there's so much competition involved. So, I think that's a positive, because I know a lot of really intelligent people, really bright people, and they just don't have that box checked. So I think it's a benefit to have those types of people getting in the workforce, because they know. Falling asleep. So what do you think if you were advising somebody who is in high school now? I mean, what are the kind of the questions you'd make sure that person is asking themselves and really considering before they determine whether they want to go to college or not?
Well, I think the most important thing is for them to figure out exactly what job they want to do and what their career path looks like. So for anyone that I have provided counsel to in regards to career counseling, there is a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. Like you may have an ultimate goal. Maybe you want to retire as a professor. That's what I would like to do. I would like to retire as a professor, right? But there are things that you need to do and steps that you need to take in order to get to that process. So you almost have to think about where you want to end up, right? And then work your way back. Because you're not gonna just wake up and become a professor. I'm not gonna just become a professor just like that. There are things that I'm gonna have to do and complete in order for me to make it to that step. So again, think about where you're going, think about your end goal, and then you work your way back. So you have your end goal, then you think, okay, well, you'll probably be doing your end goal for maybe 20 plus years, right? So where will you need to be prior to that? And then think, well, from that goal, where would I need to be 10 years before that? And then 5 years, and then 2 years. So you kind of go on down the line until you get a sense of, okay, this is the path that I need to take. And I think what might be difficult is that in high school, you may not have a true sense of what you really want to do. And that's going to be the challenge. But what I would suggest is for you to take a personality test, and it would let you know not only just your personality traits, but what type of jobs you may prefer. So look into something like that. Your career counselor at school should be able to have this test, and you should be able to take that and get a sense of your interest. What's your passion?
Yeah, I mean, that is tough to know in high school. I mean, I probably changed what I wanted to be so many times. I mean, I think the first thing I ever wanted to be, I wanted to do something in finance. I wanted to be a trader. And then, I mean, this is young, 10 years old. Then I decided I wanted to be a chemical engineer. This came out of nowhere. I mean, my dad has a chemistry degree, so I kind of thought, well, maybe that sounds cool. Then I wanted to be, what did I want to be? A porn star for most of high school, but then I realized that wasn't going to pan out. So, I actually went into college
thinking you were going to be a porn star?
No, thinking I wanted to do something in computer science, and then midway through, I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. But I was like, I'm not gonna waste the money. I just like, I'm already halfway through. Let me just get through this thing, and then I'll see what I wanted to do later. I mean, I would say you have a decision to make going into college, then you have the decision along the way during college is if I want to keep doing this, I want to change my major, do I want to drop out, am I interested in something altogether? Now, I would advise anybody, I don't know how I feel about taking a gap year coming out of high school, but I would absolutely take at least 2 years after undergrad to determine what you want to do as far as grad school. I mean, I got a degree that's pretty much, I feel like even to this day, I feel like it was a waste. I mean, It wasn't a bad.
Which degree was
I'm
that?
not gonna talk about that. Look, I'm not gonna go bad mouthing any schools. It just.
Well, just say the name of the degree, not where you got it from.
It was a master's, and I don't even put it on my resume anymore. That's how,
What?
like, it's not even relevant to anything I do or anything I want to do. It seemed like such a great idea at the time, but, you know, that was, you know, money I could have just saved. So, you know, I guess I had a good time doing it, but it, you know, it wasn't,
you did.
the money, with the money, it wasn't worth it. So, you know, and I think that I would have benefited from working a couple years, really getting a sense of how I felt about my field. You know, look, there's nothing, I wouldn't say there's nothing, but it is so different. It's so, corporate America is never what you think when you're in school. You always have these visions of what it's gonna be like when you get your first job. When you get your first job, it's like you're starting all over from scratch. Like, you're gonna get a job and you're gonna be like, I could have done this in high school. They're gonna have you pushing papers. And the ideas that you just learn by, you know, being in the environment. Now, I mean, I know some jobs probably have you doing some pretty intense stuff as a rookie, but I mean, that wasn't my experience. So, you know, what it does do, though, it gives you a good sense of the landscape. And I think that time period would have been invaluable. And if I done that, then I never would have gotten that degree. So, that first master's degree that I got. So, you know, I think a definite consideration, and I'd advise almost anybody to not just go straight to grad school. I mean, that work experience that you get in those couple years off, it will help you. And then you'll find that a lot of these companies still require you to have some experience. You're like,
Yes.
well, but I have a master's degree.
Yes,
And then
they
you're
do.
Look, bruh, I know you got a master's degree, but there's people who've been working here for the amount of time you was in school these past 2 years, and they know what they're doing, so we're gonna pay them. So you can go down and start with the new analysts and work your way up too. So that is real. It's kind of like frustrating. It's like, why did they even do that? So, look, okay, we about to get out of here, man. She's messy. You got anything to say to sum up?
I guess just to kind of piggyback on what you said. While I was in school doing my master's, I had a full-time job, y'all. Full-time job. So I was out here getting my experience, trying to make the best of the situation because, one, I had to be able to pay my bills. I wasn't living at home with my parents anymore. So that's another thing that you have to consider. And I wanted to work in my field so I could have experience in it after I graduate from with my master's. So honestly, if I did not do that, had I not taken the initiative to go and do that, because no one told me. That's another thing. I didn't have a mentor. I wish I had a mentor. It would have saved me some time. Maybe I probably would have chosen a different master's degree. I still would have gotten a master's, but it probably would have been a different master's degree in the same field. And it would have been more helpful had I done maybe social work, because for some reason, employers respect the social work degree more than they respect the professional counseling degree. Who would have thunk it? You know, back then when I did it, that that's what people would have wanted. But a mentor is something I would definitely suggest as well. And I mean, that's it for me.
Alright, well, we're about to get out of here, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this video. Anybody got any comments, questions, drop them down below. And y'all be safe this weekend. Don't drink and drive. Have a good time. Make it to Monday, alright? See y'all.